safe to be wealthy. Like it's safe for you to make a lot of money. It's safe for like I think there's a misconception that service, being of service, means that you're giving away your services for free or for a very, very low rate. And, then you're kind of in the survival mode where I see it as being of service and the more people you impact, you're deserving of being generously compensated.
Hey guys, welcome to our SoulFam Podcast where I interview space holders from all over the world. I'm your host, my name is Karolina, and I am the Connection Catalyst. I help spiritual entrepreneurs experience deeper connection with themselves, with others, and with the universe. Today on the show, we have Rachael Hunt, the spiritual business coach. Welcome to the show, Rachael. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited for this conversation.
Me too. Thank you so much for agreeing to be here. And I am all about spiritual business, conscious business, and doing, everything to make it as spiritual as you can. Although I think it's still funny to call anything not spiritual because everything is spirit. But if we want
Yeah.
to, look in these terms like this is spiritual and this is not, then spiritual business, conscious business, business with awareness, heart-centered business. This is what we want to talk about, among others, of course, because
Mm.
there is a lot we can touch upon. And I'm curious about your story. How did you become the spiritual business coach? What has happened to inspire you to choose this specific path?
I love this question. I feel like the universe, and it's going to sound so cliche, the universe presented these paths along my journey that ultimately led me here. I'll briefly skim over the details, but I was working corporate for several years, was not happy in that world. I never felt like I fit in, never felt like I belonged, thought maybe it was just the company. So I would try a new job and a new role. And more or less, I always felt the same. I didn't feel like I didn't understand because everyone around me, my friends, my colleagues were seemingly happy and I'm like, well, I'm the flawed one, like what's going on here. And I realized that it just wasn't for me, that 9 to 5 structure, that day job, desk, not day job, but the desk job, the traditional sense of a desk job was not for me. And it sparked this journey uh, to finding something I could call my own. I didn't know what that would look like, but when I started going through a series of health issues in my mid 20s, which ultimately led to me being diagnosed with celiac disease, which means I can't eat gluten. I'm allergic to the protein found in wheat, which is gluten. Uh, that actually led me to this purpose. And the purpose being, I wanted to serve people, I wanted to help others. I was navigating this new world of not being able to eat gluten. Where can I eat out? What can I eat? What brands can I trust? And so I created this platform. And that's how I started in the online space. I created this platform and I started helping others to navigate this world, to be the person to vet restaurants in advance, brands in advance, all of these things. So it became this one-stop shop. It became very successful, very popular. And with that journey of me understanding how our body responds to food and how food can impact us in different ways and realizing how good I could start to feel, it actually naturally led me into more holistic living. And that involved personal development, that involved spirituality. And from there, things started to snowball. So I was focused on gluten free solely on my platform for a number of years. And then I started showing more of myself. I wanted to delve into new topics and subjects. And that included my spirituality journey, that included my, fitness journey, my wellness journey. It encompassed so much more. And I'm a multifaceted, multi-dimensional human being. So I wasn't happy with just showing my gluten-free lifestyle. It was just one fraction of who I am. And so once I started birthing, who I was and started showing more of myself, I was, I guess, what you call an influencer. I was working with all these brands and whatever. So I built this community, I built this influence, and I got to a point where I was still working part-time for a couple companies. I started freelancing a bit more, but I got to the point where I'm like, I got to try this on my own. I'm making some money. Let me spread my entrepreneurial wings and see what lands. At this point, coaching was not even on my radar at all. I didn't even really know. Like, I knew of coaching, but I did not consider it for myself whatsoever. And I actually started working with a coach randomly, but also serendipitously. And she said to me, I think you should coach. I think you should coach women on how to monetize their brands, or their online brands, their personal brands, how to da 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 da. And at first, I'm like, who am I to do this? I don't know anything more than the next person. But I eventually started coaching and consulting, and I had so much fun with it. And initially, it was just straight business coaching. But in my own entrepreneurial journey, I was weaving spirituality, personal development. I started studying the subconscious mind for my own benefit, but then I started supporting clients in this way. And that path, that very interesting random path, led me to creating Freedom School, which is my business, Freedom School. And I became Freedom Rach. I became, so my blog, my like food blog was called Gluten Freedom. So freedom has always been the theme for me, but I dropped the gluten. I became Freedom Rach, and I'm the founder and CEO of Freedom School, which under its umbrella are a number of different programs and containers that, yeah, are supporting women in creating more freedom in different areas of their life, mostly using the subconscious mind. So reprogramming, understanding our energetic frequencies and how that impacts everything in our life. And I'm all about simplification. I think we complicate so much. We've been so conditioned to make things harder than they really are. So I make things a lot easier and liberate us from the things that hold us back and keep us stuck and keep us small. Yeah, and this is what I've been doing for the past few years now, and it's growing and evolving all the time, but this is my purpose. Like, I know I'm here to serve and serve in this capacity and let myself, evolve as I'm meant to.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing. It's really cool how the
You're
universe brings
welcome.
us all these things and we just like follow it and then we are in the best place ever. This is awesome, really. I really
Yeah.
enjoy it. So, I have another question because I know that you use a lot of methods like NLP and EFT and hypnotherapy on your path to, of self development and growing and just being more and more authentic and expanded and all these things. So, which methods did you find were the most effective for you specifically and for everyone that you're working with? Are they quite equal and do you just pick them based on the individual and how they respond to a different method, or how do you see all these methods? Are they best combined and used all together, or how do you see it all?
Mm. Yeah, I use most of my techniques and modalities interconnectedly. Like, I'm weaving multiple, and I add my own flair and spin to everything to customize and personalize for each client, given whatever they need, whatever they desire, and also what they're needing support on most. For me, each of the modalities that I, have, an expertise in, I'm using on myself, and I've had great success with each of them. And those are the ones, I mean, I've learned so many different tools and techniques. I only take what resonates the most with me and what works best for me. So, what I'm providing for my clients is ultimately, the tools and techniques that I can vet, that I, have had great success with, that I can stand behind. And like I said, I add my own flair to everything. So, yes, it's rooted in NLP and hypnotherapy, but it's kind of like the Freedom School method. My approach to it is a little bit different. I've just tweaked it to fit me and my style. But yeah, to say like which one in particular is like the best or works the greatest, I think you kind of nailed it in that it's the compound effect of using multiple over a period of time that will have the greatest results. So, starting with NLP specifically, I'll do a reprogramming and releasing technique that I use on all of my clients. And then from there, I'll build it with some tapping, customized tapping sequences, customized hypnotherapy, to really continue the reprogramming, the recoding, the imprinting. So to answer that like clearly, because I'm not being very direct, it's it's hard to say because it is so personalized and individual, but that's what makes it so powerful and so magical, is because it's not just replicating the same thing over and over for each and every person. It's actually looking at what do you need and intuitively being guided. I get downloads and pings and nudges from, my higher powers, my guides who are supporting me, leading me to what that client would need most, what would be best for them. And then once we start peeling back some of the layers, because that's what I like to think of it as, is like we're peeling back these layers to really bring you back to your purest essence. And so once we start to peel back the layers, it's really interesting. It's so fascinating to me what else starts to rise to the surface. So it may be multiple sessions that involve the same technique because new things are arising once we peel back some of these layers. But then we may be switching gears. So I love that I have a toolkit. I love that I have, access to a number of different options and modalities that can support clients in whatever they really need. And like I said, I sometimes, I don't want to say I make it up in like, but I will model techniques that I've learned and that I'm certified in, and I'll craft them to my own. Like I'll kind of like remodel them. I'll kind of renovate them, if you will, to fit the needs of the client. So yeah, I mean, I love the subconscious mind. I love how malleable it is with these tools and how we can actually create the reality we desire in a very simple and effective way once you have access to the work that I support clients in.
Amazing. Yeah, to me it seems like you have all these different colors of the paints, but what you're gonna paint
Mm,
in the picture is like
yeah,
your own craft, right? And I'm similar. Like I always
100%.
use different stuff for different people, just because some people are more emotional, so it's easier for them to go deep into their emotions. Some people need some other work first, maybe more intellectual, so that they don't struggle as much with then going into the emotions, because you need to go through the emotions if you want to reprogram some stuff sometimes. So
Totally.
yeah, I'm with you. I feel like it's such an individual approach every time. And so, because you're a spiritual business coach, I really want to touch upon the business side of it, because I feel like so many people struggle with like really taking their business to the next level, especially if they are quote unquote spiritual people, right? And I feel like it stems a lot
Mm,
probably from religious beliefs, like, I cannot be enlightened and rich at the same time, or something that it's bad to
mhm.
be wealthy, that, if you want to be a spiritual person, then you need to just meditate in the cave without food, and you don't need to use material things, right? And all these things. So what would you say for people who are still maybe making a few $1,000s a month, but not like massively abundant yet, and they are on the spot, they are a healer, they have value, or they are a coach, someone who really can help a lot of people, but maybe they still are not where they would like to be in terms of like massive
Mm.
abundance for everything that they desire in their life? What would be your number one tip to them, or three, however you want?
Well, the first thing that's coming through is it's safe to be wealthy. Like it's safe for you to make a lot of money. It's safe for like I think there's a misconception that service, being of service, means that you're giving away your services for free or for a very, very low rate. And, then you're kind of in the survival mode, where I see it as being of service, and the more people you impact, you're deserving of being generously compensated. I mean, think of some of the largest spiritual leaders and teachers in the world. They're very wealthy, they're very rich. Like Tony Robbins is rich, very rich, and Oprah Winfrey is rich, very rich. Gabby Bernstein, like there's so many examples of spiritual. Deepak Chopra. I'm just like, all these people are coming through. Like there's a lot of people in the world who are considered spiritual teachers, leaders, guides who are very wealthy. So it is safe for you to use your gifts and use your magic and to serve a lot of people, and to also ask for what you are worth, and to make a lot of money. Like I believe there is this connection with spiritual yeah, spiritual teachers, I'll just use that term, spiritual teachers or coaches, mentors, that they shouldn't charge more because they want to help as many people as they can. But it's actually a backwards approach, because when you start to undervalue yourself and you're not charging what you're worth, sure, you may have somewhat of a larger volume for a period. But if you're undervaluing yourself for a period of time, low self worth equals lack mentality. High self worth is, aligned with abundance, aligned with money, aligned with, that frequency of wealth. So to value yourself and to allow yourself to be generously compensated, you're creating more flow. When you're like, oh, no, 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 I shouldn't charge as much, like, you're going to burn yourself out. You're going to become resentful. You're going to become frustrated. So it's really important that, like, if you genuinely want to live a life of service and you don't really care about the money and you can live very simply and you're okay with that, that is one story. But I have not talked to many people who actually want that, because I've talked to many, many, many women who actually do desire to be wealthy. And sometimes they feel guilty for admitting that because they think it's wrong. And so I'm here to dismantle that and be like, you can be fucking wealthy. Sorry if we're not allowed to swear. You can be very wealthy and you can be very spiritual at the same time. Like, I practice Kundalini yoga, and Yogi Bhajan is celebrated and honored all over the world. And he is like, no, 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 no. Like, we deserve to be wealthy. We deserve to be rich. Like, he wants people to be wealthy and prosperous, because think about how much more impact you can have when you have a lot of money in your bank account. Doesn't mean having a lot of money means you're greedy and selfish and you're going to like blow it all on like material things. Actually, having more money gives you more choice, more freedom, and you could spend that money on causes that are important to you. You could spend that, or you could take, some of that money and actually create like mentorship programs where you're subsidizing someone who doesn't have a lot of money to afford your services, but you can give them the opportunity. Like, there's so many things you can do with a lot of money. So tip number one is, like, it's safe for you to make a lot of money. And being spiritual, actually, I think it's actually quite spiritual, like true spirituality. I think it's actually quite spiritual to be supported by the universe, and that includes financially and monetarily.
Yeah, I agree with that so much. And also, if you charge more and people really would like to use your service because they believe in it and they value it, they can get creative and think of the ways how they can make more money. And then it actually opens them up to more abundance, because if they didn't have this
Yeah.
incentive of, okay, I want to work with this person, but I don't have money, but how do I get this money right now? If I want to do this, what value
Mm,
can I bring to the world to then actually afford it? And I feel like we have it just all upside down. And I've translated this book to Polish. It's called Love Money, Money Loves You, and it's a channeling of the energy of money. And I talk a lot about it on this podcast because I feel like a lot of messages are just so aligned with everything that we're sharing here. And it really says like this, like earning money gives you opportunity to be creative, to actually look out for more, to expand beyond your friends and family zone, to go to work, to meet someone else, to get inspired. And it's like really, for you there. And even if you don't have money and you really want something, you're going to figure out the way how to get there. You don't need to, be like, okay, I will never afford it or whatever. It's like, okay, how can I make it happen? How can I afford it? What do I need to do? What value do I need to bring to the world to be able to afford it? So if someone really values your products and services, and obviously if you have a conscious business, you are providing something very valuable to people, because I cannot see it in another way, right? You need to be of value. Then people want that. And if people want that, they will figure out a way to pay you more, but you need to value yourself equally to what you really feel like you're worth, because it also talks in the book that the value that you put on yourself plus the value of, for example, the product you want to buy needs to be really equal with the value that you give to the product or whatever, right? Because like if there is imbalance, if you, for example, overpay for something or underpay for something where you internally feel that the value is more, then it's gonna be, or less, right? Then there's gonna be imbalance, and then the universe will align it somehow else. But it's the best when there is balance between what you spend and actually how you value the product, and it might be different for everyone. So the value is a big topic, I think, but I feel like especially spiritual people who are on this path have a lot of value for the world, and especially these people should be wealthy because they have big hearts and they want to share this wealth with others. They want to, I don't know, build animal shelters or help children or equip hospitals or whatever. These people actually deserve um everyone deserves, but I feel like these people really would do something with the money to help others. So if you are one of these people that is still kind of like struggling with it, just know that you're of value and you deserve everything the best in life, because then you can really, when your cup is full, you can really fill up other people's cups, and then you can bring others to abundance as well,
Mhm.
also being an example and creating the life the way you want it. So yeah, I love everything you shared about this, and I feel like it's
Yeah.
such an important topic. So uh, having said that, I know that you do your little abundance rituals, which is freaking great. I love how you call them abundance rituals. So, what is your
Yeah.
favorite one, or again, maybe top three abundance rituals that you do?
Mm. So I go through phases of like what rituals. So rich is not Ritual, it's rich, Rich, because I love using rituals to create more abundance and prosperity in my life. And abundance isn't always financial. Abundance can look so different for so many people. And so I think it's really important to be attuned to the innate abundance within ourselves and all around us, not just getting paid, not just having money. There and a big a big thing I teach my clients, and yeah, I show my clients is to tune your mind to abundance in all of its forms. That's, I would say, like, that's ritual number one. It's just looking around you and being like, wow, like right now I'm staring at, my beautiful like front yard, and it's like palm trees and lush and green and sun, and I'm like, that's abundance, right? I can look in my fridge and see fresh fruits and foods that will nourish my body. That's abundance. I can look around at um even my Instagram and see like the number of followers I have and whatever, and be like, that's abundant. Like, it doesn't always have to look like money. It doesn't always have to be in the form of money. So turning our minds, because our unconscious mind operates on evidence. And so if the evidence we are pulling upon all around us is lack, like, oh, there's not enough this, there's not enough that, there's not, you're going to be presented with more evidence of lack all around you. There's not enough, there's not enough, there's not enough. If you start to notice that, wow, like there is just so much juicy, abundant energy and juicy, abundant experiences all around me, you begin to experience more abundance, and that could translate into physical cash flow, physical money in your hand, in your bank account, whatever. So, abundance awareness, I would say, is number one. And that could be in the form of even just gratitude. Like, gratitude is abundance. If you're able to look at your life and say your bank account isn't reflecting what you want, and you're fixated on that, and you're fixated on like all the things that aren't working, turn your lens to gratitude. I know it's so simple. It could sound cliche to say, but it works. It's simple and effective, and it freaking works. So, abundance awareness. And I'm currently working with a few different goddess mantras. I do Kundalini yoga regularly. So I'm doing a Kundalini Kriya, which is essentially like a meditation, which is to bring in more abundance and more prosperity. And I go through waves with that. But right now I'm doing a 40-day goddess meditation and a 40-day Kundalini Abundance Kriya meditation. And the 40 days is a very auspicious number in Eastern tradition. Don't ask me to like fully explain it, but every Kundalini teacher, every Kundalini class I've gone to, they always recommend like 40 days. It's this auspicious number. And if you can dedicate your practice to 40 days, and of course, and beyond, it will have the maximum, most optimal effects. So it's hard for me to like fully explain what those are, but I mean, I talk about those in my programs. I teach my clients how to access this, but there's so many fucking modalities, so many cool modalities that yeah, support us in creating an abundant environment, an abundant aura. Because I think really at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's not me doing voodoo, witchery, magic to like pull money out of thin air. It's strengthening your innate abundant frequency from within. And given that, like, I'm not going to break down and show you the whole Kriya because it's 15 minutes, and like whatever the goddess mantra, it's like 7 minutes. I'm not going to go through that, but you could start with the abundance awareness. And that is something you can do on your own. You don't need me to teach you how to do it. And you can just tune yourself into that vibration. That is very effective. It is mind blowing the results my clients get, even from that alone, as they start to just create more evidence in their life of, oh, actually, there's a lot more good around me. And here I was thinking there's not a lot. So that's a really great place to start.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, and it's kind of like
You're
NLP
welcome.
in a way, reprogramming your neural pathways, because when you focus on something and you focus on it multiple times, then your neural pathways, your brain is literally reshaped to focus on what's abundant, and then more abundant, and then more abundant. So you're literally changing the whole way of how your brain perceives your reality when you just change your
Yes.
point of focus and you constantly focus on what's enough in your life, what's abundant in your life, or what's good about yourself, or what's
Yes.
good about your life. You really reshape your whole perspective. So thank you so much. It's a beautiful practice. I really love it, everything
Yeah.
that you shared. And
Thank you.
it's really, really cool. And of course, gratitude, like I'm such a big advocate for gratitude. It's such a powerful vibration to hold, and it actually really opens you up. It's like a magnet for more things, because it's kind of like the universe saying, oh, you appreciate, so I'm going to give you more things to
Yes.
appreciate. So then it really
Yeah.
works miracles, I would say. So yeah, thank you. That's really, really great. And I know
I
that you
love it.
also are specializing in the relationship support and dating support, and I'm like
Yes.
super curious
Yes.
because I was wondering to touch upon this topic of really being centered when you date, and really like not go into this codependent mode where you, because I see it as like there is a difference between like being in love and oh, it's the rainbow and unicorns and you're just like thinking about this person all the time and so on, and being codependent and being like, okay, if this person is not there, then you're not gonna feel that good. So first of all, how do you see this dance between like the honeymoon effect in a way, where you are so in like this beautiful uplifted state, but then where is this line where you are already, let's say, too much into someone and you're starting being codependent or dependent on someone, or you feel like this happiness and this upliftment that you feel is conditional, whether someone answers your message or not, because I know that like I could see it in myself. Last time I was dating, it wasn't massive because I have a lot of self-awareness, but there was this inner child of me. It's like, he's not answering me for such a long time, and it's like I would just like to be uplifted all the time without even having these things coming up. And of course I'm like considerate and empathetic towards my inner child, because it's just a daddy issue, abandonment wound, all these things I know. But where is the sign, between being codependent and really, yeah, just feeling like you need to meet your needs outside of you, and then
Mm.
versus holding your power and just being still like uplifted by love and still like in love, let's say, maybe, but you're really like centered in yourself at the same time.
Yeah. So I think it's really, really important. And my program, Hotline Bling, is for empowered dating and relationship support, but it's ultimately a self empowerment program. It's healing your relationship to yourself and entering any sort of dating dynamic or relationship from a stable place on your own, not needing someone else to complete you or to fulfill you. Yes, there's definitely elements that a partner can provide for you, and amplify and enhance your life, your experience with life. It's so important though to heal your relationship to self, or to begin that journey, so that when you're entering that world, you're not making it mean that you're not good enough if the man or the woman doesn't reply in the time frame that you think they should, or if they ghost you, or if you get broken up with. Like, these things, yes, we're going to have human experiences, and no matter how much healing you do, you're going to have these moments of like, oh, okay, like, I haven't heard back in a little bit. You're going to have a loop that will come up. We're human. We're allowed to have human emotions and human the emotional experience. And it's really important to not bypass that or try to avoid that. I mean, we're going to have these experiences no matter what. But what is really important is taking from those experiences what's coming up for you as a point of and an opportunity for you to heal through it. What is coming up? Okay, so what are you making it mean about you? Because from that, you're then able to understand, well, my inner child needs some love. I'm feeling unworthy. You know what? It reminds me of this time when my dad did XYZ, when my mom did XYZ, when my sister did this to me. So then we're getting clues from those experiences and those interactions for us to then heal the deeper layers. I'm not leading that program or my, relationship coaching with, here's how you set up your profile and this is how you're going to like find the man of your dreams. The way you're going to, or the woman of your dreams, the way you will become an energetic match for what you truly desire is by being that for yourself within. So you want to attract love. Do you love you? Do you deeply love yourself? Do you deeply love your life? If you can't answer yes to that, then that's where we need to start. If you're looking for someone else to completely complete you, you're not feeling worthy or good enough on your own as who you are. And so when people enter relationships wanting to complete themselves through someone else, that's when codependency starts. And that's not the type of dynamic I stand for. That's not the type of relationships I support, because I believe that creates that's basically two unhealed people coming together to create an unhealed experience that just doesn't typically turn out great. And, I'm here to support women in healing. I'm here to support women in, empowering, if they're in a relationship, empowering their partners to heal. Again, we can't force anyone. There's free will. We can't force anyone to do anything. But if we are empowered, and this is what I truly believe, as women, when we become empowered and we set boundaries and we set standards and we take good care of ourselves, and we're good either way, because damn straight we are good either way. We don't need a man or a woman to complete us. But when we are so anchored into our worthiness and our, self-belief or self-trust and all of that, like that's what I cultivate with my clients. When you're anchored into that, doesn't matter how someone else interacts and behaves around you. You're aware enough that it says more about them than it does about you. And also, alternatively, when you start to recognize that and you're able to like take these different interactions and different people that you meet for what it is at face value, not making it mean anything more than, because we like to make these stories up. We like to create these silly stories, these narratives, and we want to make it mean something more than it really is. And that is just a whole other slew of issues. But what when you're able to get to that place where like you're able to be like, well, I'm good either way, um, you hold this power, and you naturally then are signaling this really magnetic and radiant frequency out to the universe, which calls in more of what you're really desiring. And that goes for anything, with clients, with money, relationships, not even just romantic relationships, friendships as well. Like that is the frequency of pure magnetism, and it all comes down to your self-worth. I work with women on amplifying their subconscious self-worth, clearing anything that stands in the way of that, because when you can anchor into your innate worthiness, because you don't need anything or anyone to make you worthy, you are. But if you believe that something or someone will make you worthy, that's going to stand in your way. So we come to a place where like you're so rock solid, and yes, like through the journey there's going to be old patterns that want to come back in and old cycles that want to peep back in, and it's just a test from the universe to help you anchor into the work even more. And so the codependency thing, that's an unhealed pattern. Thinking that someone else is going to make you feel better about yourself, that's an unhealed pattern. Trying to find love outside of yourself, that's unhealed patterns. You need to find everything you desire in someone else or something else, finding it within. Just like money, you want more money in your life, feel abundant with what you have right now. Look around you and see how wealthy you are. Again, wealthy isn't just about finances. How wealthy do you feel? If you're feeling an abundance of wealth in your life, an abundance of love in your life, independent of a partner, of a client paying you, of a fat bank account, that is where the magic starts to flow for you. That is when you become magnetic.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. It's been great. I
Mm,
want to add to so many things in there. First of all, yeah, I totally agree with you with everything that you said. And I love what you said that you need to be good with anything, because then you are either in the vibration of like really being at peace with everything that happens, or acceptance. And these are very high vibrations. So obviously you're going to be more magnetic the higher your vibration is. And I feel like to that, actually, it's very important to be okay with your negative emotions, because even if you do have these codependency patterns or whatever, you if you are happy to feel lonely and to go through your shit, to be triggered and to feel unworthy for some time, if you're just good with it in terms of, okay, this is how I'm feeling right now, I just broke up with my partner, now I feel like shit, now I'm super unworthy and I feel like this and lonely and all these things. But if you're actually good with healing that, with holding that, then again, you don't need any external person to fulfill this need, because if you heal it within, then the need might also disappear, because you can give your inner child and yourself whatever you need from the outside. So these kind of situations can actually bring up the things that we, okay, this is what I needed there, so then how can I give it to me, and then go from there. So even if there is some codependency or anything there that is blocking you from feeling self-love and worthiness and everything, it's still great to go through that and to see, because every person, every relationship is a lesson for us, some kind of growth opportunity for us to see, okay, if this person fills me up, then how can I now, without this person, fill myself up in a similar way or in a different way, but still with my needs being met. And that's what I did after I broke up with my ex-partner, and we had a beautiful breakup, like a ceremonial breakup. We love each other, and we're all good, but we really were like, okay, so what do you feel like I got from you and you got from me, and now how do you feel like we can meet it inside of us? Because obviously we, well, in every relationship I feel like you have things that you are, relying on your partner for, and you're just, it's normal, to when you create this, because if you, in reality, if you didn't need anything at all, then maybe you wouldn't even want to have a partner or anything. But if you do have a partner and you do have some needs that this partner meets, then it's like, okay, if this person is gone, then how can I really meet these needs for myself in a healthy way, so that I, and even though I have to go through some traumas, through some stuff first, then you arrive at this state of peace where you're like, okay, now I'm good to go. So even if there is codependency still, or there is a breakup or whatever, you can still hold yourself. And if you feel, that you are the one that creates your life and your experience, you can be like, okay, how can I provide it for myself right now? So I loved that you said that it's
mm,
all about self-worth, because I truly believe it and I can see it.
mhm,
And I've been devastated with this breakup, because we didn't really want to break up. It was a very divine message flowing through. We had a beautiful relationship, the best relationship ever. So it was like, what? No! Oh my God, I'm meeting so many
mm,
needs. But now, after almost 4 months, I'm just like, oh my God, it actually was really good for both of us. And I feel so much, and I feel even
mm,
more empowered. So on the other side of it, there's always more. There's always something we can expand on. So that's really, really amazing. And so now I am a
mm.
single lady. So I know that one of the things that you're also talking on this program about is setting standards for yourself,
Mhm,
to really like attract a partner that you really want. So um
mhm,
how would you say that, when it comes to setting standards, because sometimes I feel like I have such high standards that I don't freaking know how I'm going to find this beautiful, handsome,
mm,
sexy, abundant, spiritual,
mhm,
a musician, a Polish person speaking Polish, and so on, and like so many qualities that I really want in a person. So I want to ask about this dance between like setting standards and holding them, and also not like versus being controlling, being like too much of a
mm,
attachment to your idea. And like, how do you see it? Because on one hand, I'm just like, no, I just wanted this specific person, right? And on the other hand, I'm thinking like, if I'm just closed off to only this person, maybe I'm gonna miss out on some other experiences that would also bring me growth. And therefore, for me personally, how I see it is that I'm now, dating a person that I know that it's maybe not in alignment for me for forever, but I'm growing so much and I'm getting so much out of it. And I know that maybe it's not my life partner or husband or whatever, that of my kids, but I'm not like closing myself off from like, okay, this is the only one that I want and that's all. And I'm just trying to really let go and not control. So how do you see
mm,
this dance between, having all these standards and all these, let's say, non-negotiables, and versus, control?
mm. So You said the word non-negotiable, and I find it really interesting if we honestly were to ask ourselves each of these items of the ideal partner we're calling in and what we're desiring, which of those are coming from your soul and which of those are coming from your ego? Because I imagine there are qualities that we're saying are non negotiables, but are negotiable. Because, yes, the vanity and, like, the handsome, the tall, the this, I mean, I desire all that as well. However, what I value and what would, make my soul happy is less of the physical qualities and more of the emotional and energetic qualities. So we often get confused with ego non-negotiables and soul non-negotiables.
Mhm.
So I think it's really important to ask yourself, like, if the perfect man showed up in your life that you're just like, oh my god, he is checking all the boxes, he's just a couple inches shorter, and maybe he's a little bald, and maybe he's a little bit older or a little bit younger, like, are you really going to walk away from this potential soulmate love connection because he doesn't look the exact same way? Like, it's a really, really interesting question to ask yourself and a really interesting conversation because um, I do believe, yes, we get to have exactly what we desire, but I also believe that sometimes we are, even when it comes to like money, other things that we're trying to call in, like our ego has this idea in its mind of what the love should look like or what the business should look like and how much money we should be making when that's not what's ultimately meant for us. So I'm in an interesting position. A lot of what you just shared about your last relationship ending, it was similar to mine, which ended before I came here to Tulum. We were meant to be here in Tulum together. The timeline didn't line up. I was very heartbroken. I was very sad because it wasn't because we weren't meant to. It wasn't because we had a bad relationship. It was just I also believe the universe. He he wouldn't he wasn't meant to be here is ultimately what I've come to the conclusion. But in my navigation, my journey of dating, and I believe dating, it's not about a race to the finish line and finding the partner, finding the soulmate. It's actually enjoying the journey of meeting different types of people, because in you meeting different types of people and you getting into different dynamics with people, you get an opportunity to put your communication styles to test, to do things differently than you were before in a positive way, for you to actually understand if certain things are non-negotiables or not, or adding new things that are more important to you. A big thing coming up for me lately, it's like I want to feel like a priority, and as soon as I'm not feeling that priority, that's not working out for me. And it's me honoring that standard and honoring that boundary and closing the loop on anyone that isn't aligning with that. In terms of their physical qualities, I mean, they all look so different and they don't all fit the exact same mold of what I would like my partner to look like. But I also, in the past, like, you have to take that away. You have to ultimately trust, like, what makes your heart feel good? What makes you feel grounded? What makes you feel safe? Those are the qualities to me that matter the most, that make my soul the happiest. It's not the hot man who shows up, but like maybe he's not as, like, I don't know. Maybe it's like he's not as consistent as I'd like. I don't know. Sometimes the ego and the soul get confused, and that's really what I think is so important with this journey. It's like, first of all, is it your ego or your soul that wants the super tall hottie? Of course, we all want attractive people, but I find someone with good energy who may not fit the bill of what I'm traditionally attracted to sexier than someone who is super attractive and has bad energy. There is a big difference. Someone who has great energy and shows up and is like the man or the woman that like makes your heart flutter and makes you feel all these like really good, that will make them more attractive to you. So often we write people off. And like you said, I'm big on keeping the heart open. This is a big component of my work, not only in the relationship side, but also in the business side, but keeping our heart open. And I'm aware of like how quickly my heart can contract. And I'm so aware of when that starts to happen so that I can keep it open again. And so keeping our hearts open means that we're not shutting the door on people right off the get go, not closing people out because they're not checking all these boxes. That's so ego. It's so ego. So it's yeah, really checking in on what makes your soul the happiest and going into every dynamic with an open heart. Because from some of these dating dynamics I've entered into, I've come out with really good friendships now. Not a relationship, but I'm actually like, I'd rather just be friends with this person because I think they're a beautiful soul and beautiful energy. But for what I'm looking for in a partner, it's not lining up. So I'm not going to shut that person out and shut them out of my life because, again, we're so quick to do that. If they're not going to be my partner, then they're out. No, like, what if you just then get to welcome beautiful people into your life in a different capacity? So heart opening, heart expansion, and then being real with yourself. Is it ego or is it soul that is telling you that you need the person to look like this?
Yeah, and I feel like maybe it's, yeah, for me it's like not only about looks. I mean, I wouldn't even look at someone who has bad energy in a way, because my energy would be like, nah. I mean, he's hot, but nah, for sure. But
Yeah,
so one quick
exactly.
question on top of that: how can people know if it's their ego or their heart telling them that this needs to be like that? Because, for example, let's say I'm a very visual person and I really love beauty, and so for me it's extremely important that my partner looks exactly as I imagined, because, or not exactly, but like very close to what I imagined, because I'm just all about beauty and it's my highest value, or one of the highest values in my life. And then some people might say, okay, I'm, too much into the looks, but actually it's what my essence is. It's about beauty, it's about seeing, it's about being surrounded with beautiful things. So when do you know when it is ego and mind, or when it's actually your essence and your heart?
I think that's a process that when you start tuning into your intuition and you start honoring your intuition, you'll know. Like, you know if someone's energy is off. You'll know when there's an element of someone that doesn't feel right. Like, that's kind of a convoluted question to answer directly. For me, it's I would know. I know pretty much right off the bat if someone is like good for me long term or good for me right now. Um and if I want to invest more time and energy with someone or if I don't. Like, in the past, when I was not doing this work and I was not listening to my intuition, I ignored so many red flags, and not even like just with them, but like red flags that, yeah, just like they were bringing out toxic qualities in me or behaviors in me and, making me feel bad in certain ways and all of these things, right? Like, I would ignore those signs, those signals, and also, yeah, I would just ignore on both ends. And as I became more attuned to my intuition and got real with myself, and also, again, coming back to the self-worth, because I think the reason we ignore our intuition or ignore our red flags is because we're in a lack mentality of like, but I need this to work, I need a relationship so bad, because we feel desperate, because we feel lonely, because we feel sad, and we think that the other person's going to complete us. So again, it comes back to the self-worth, coming back to the self-worth of I'm good either way. And so when you have that mentality, knowing you're good, you're worthy, and that your relationship status does not define you, your relationship status does not make you worthier, your relationship status does not make you better. When you are anchored into that, you're not in a rush to get into a relationship. Right now, of course, ultimately, I want to be in a relationship, but I am not going to rush. I am not going to put pressure on myself to be in a relationship, to find that partner, because I know that it's going to drop in divine timing. And I know that there's, yeah, people drop into our life when they're meant to. And while I'm on that journey of receiving that next, real part, like true partner, I'm just enjoying the dynamics and the people who are coming into my life. So, in my younger years, it was a race. It was, I need to be in a relationship and I will date not anyone, but like I will get into a relationship with someone who I know isn't right for me and I know who doesn't make me feel so ignited, just like with jobs too. Like, I know I'm not super happy here, but I'm just going to stick with it because this is what I'm told is right. And this is what I'm told will make me look better or whatever. So when it comes to, um, yeah, when it comes to that, it's boils down to the worthiness thing. It comes down to the worthiness, because when you feel worthy, you're not going to rush it. You're not going to put pressure on it. You're going to focus on doing you, and you're going to be better for it. If that makes
Mm.
sense.
Yes, absolutely, it does. And thank you so much for sharing all that. I feel like it's very empowering, everything you shared. And I operate exactly like you.
Yeah.
I'm just welcoming every experience with every person because this beautiful soul
Yeah.
might light up my life. And then we might be friends, or I might grow, or this person might trigger the shit out of me. And then I'm going to be even more suited to my
Yeah.
next partner. I'm going to be, yeah, it's kind of like an exam, you
Yes.
know? This is checked, okay?
It
You passed it.
is.
Now you're ready to open up because you have expanded more and you're able to handle these kind of
1000%.
triggers that your future partner will have. So now you're more at peace with it. For example, I see it this way a little bit as well. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I think it's important. The triggers that come up, like, I say this to my clients all the time. It's the preparation phase. When you feel like you're in that void of like doing the work to become a match for what it is you desire, and the void between the desire coming into your, or like your physical orbit, like, because it's there energetically, like it's circulating, and as soon as you become a match for it, it's like, "Ooh, okay, there you go." So if you can sit in the void and think of it as the preparation of ultimately, inevitably, what is meant for you and what you desire is going to drop in for you. If you can sit in that void and know that the void is the preparing, knowing that the void is actually making you, because that person could come into your life, the person that you desire could come into your life, and if we're talking relationships, but if you're not ready for it, you're going to push them away. And so why not think of it as, I'm in no rush, because I want to make sure that when they do come into my life, I am the perfect match for them as well. Just as much as you want them to be a match for you, you need to be a match for them. And so if I need to sit in the void a little while longer to cultivate that, you know, energetic match, then I'll do it. And I would rather do that because I don't want to push that person away. I don't want to push that opportunity away. I want to be open to receiving it and to be able to hold and handle it as well.
Yes, sister. Yes, that's so spot on. It's like a cherry on the cake on our conversation, right there.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much. So, one last quick question: if someone really resonates with your vibes, would like to maybe step into their, more of their potential, or maybe learn about self worth or anything that you offer, what is the best way to find you and contact you and see what you have there?
Yeah, I think Instagram would be the best place to start. My handle is Freedom Range with two H's. I also have a podcast. It's called That Freedom Life Podcast. It's on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, or Google whatever. It's on all of the major podcasting platforms. So you can tune into that as well. I talk all sorts of topics and conversations similar to what we're holding today. So if you want to just, yeah, get a deeper look into some of the topics and conversations I'm loving the most, that would be a great place to hang out and find me.
Amazing. Thank you so much for everything that you shared. I feel like this
You're
conversation was so
welcome.
great, brought so much value. So I'm
Oh,
super,
yay.
super grateful for you and for
Oh,
sharing
yeah.
yourself with us.
Thank you so much for having me, love.
Thank you for listening to our beautiful conversation. If you'd like to find me, I am The Connection Catalyst on Instagram, and I'm super grateful that you're tuning in and stay tuned to the next episode.